Zach Miner here for Rev3 Games, and today I'm bringing you our Civilization V Gods and Kings review. Since Civ 5 came out in late 2010, we've seen a couple installments of DLC, but none has come close to the ambition or content packed into Gods and Kings. Now, it is an expansion pack in the truest sense of the term. It doesn't rewrite the Civilization formula or radically change the gameplay, so if you've never been a fan of the series, this probably won't sway you. What it does do, however, is significant. It brings two new tentpole features in the form of religion and espionage, and a ton of smaller additions like refined naval combat, better AI, almost 50 new buildings and units, and of course, new civilizations. Now, if you don't know what Civilization is, it's a turn-based strategy game where you control a real-life empire from the beginning of time until 2050 AD. Fueled by resources, units and cities are built, and victory can be achieved through violent domination, cultural enlightenment, scientific advancement, or diplomacy. Now, without a doubt, the biggest new feature is religion. After missing the cut in the original release of Civ 5, it's been resurrected for Gods and Kings, albeit in a much different form than it appeared in Civilization 4. Instead of being tied to a technology, it's now driven by faith, a resource treated much like gold, culture, or science. Some civilizations begin to accrue faith at the beginning of time, while others have to build shrines to start that production. Eventually, you're able to found a pantheon and choose a core belief that affects your gameplay, some of which provide extra production or gold benefits based on your local resources, or some that even support your playstyle. And as you gain more faith, you get to found an actual religion by choosing more beliefs and picking a custom name and symbol. At this point, it starts to get more interesting because your religion can now spread. Depending on your population and proximity to other civs, you can start to convert other cities to your religion. This can be fed up by using units like missionaries or great prophets, but you don't necessarily want to try and convert the entire world because your enemies will gain most of the same benefits as you from that religion. There's a ton of depth to the system, and I could spend an hour talking about it, but I'll just say this. While religion certainly adds a lot of new strategies, especially in the early game, it is entirely optional. You can choose to play and completely avoid faith in religion altogether, and your experience will not be totally worthless. You'll likely get converted to a rival's religion eventually, and while that might make things a little more difficult for you, it probably won't crush you or open you up for defeat. If you're going for a cultural victory, it can certainly help you, but it doesn't radically shake the foundation of the game, which would probably throw the entire game out of balance anyway. Perhaps the biggest use of religion in the endgame is how it can be used to affect city-states. The city-state system has seen a major overhaul, and as such, diplomatic victories are much more interesting now. In vanilla Civilization 5, you could essentially wait until one of the final turns before a United Nations vote and just bribe every city-state to vote for you. No more. City-states now have a revised questing system that you must use if you want to gain their favor. You can still donate gold, but its benefits are limited. Instead, city-states are now constantly updating you on what they desire. This ranges from stuff like generating culture or science within a period of 20 turns, to bullying a rival city-state, to spreading your religion to them, and way more. They can even go bankrupt or start investment projects during which gold gifts are worth much more influence. We saw a little bit of this in vanilla Civilization 5, mostly in the form of clearing barbarian camps, but it's vastly expanded now, and it's one of the better additions to the game, especially when espionage gets introduced. Like religion, espionage was a system that existed in previous games but missed the cut for Civ 5. Now it's back, and like religion, it is in a very different form. Spies are no longer units that you build, but are rather granted to you for free. Starting in the Renaissance, you get one spy that is controlled exclusively via a new espionage menu. In it, you can move your spy to discovered cities, and after a couple turns, they have a chance to steal technology. If there's nothing available, you're able to relocate them to another city. It might seem a little strange that you never actually see your spies on the map, but ultimately I've kind of come around to this choice. You know, espionage is functionally different than the standard units' attack and defense, so they should have their own distinct operation. In addition to stealing technologies, you can also move them to city-states to have them rig elections. This ends up improving your relationship with the city-states while damaging relations with your rivals. If the situation calls for drastic measures, you can even attempt a coup to immediately place your civ as their new ally. Overall, I've been really impressed with how espionage has worked in the games that I've played, and it clearly adds some significant new strategic elements to the game, maybe even more so than religion. If you're playing for domination, it might not help you as much as if you were pursuing a scientific or cultural victory, but it's still something you need to defend against. Other new stuff that's in Gods and Kings. There are 9 new civs to choose from, bringing the game's total to 34. The new ones include the Netherlands, Ethiopia, Carthage, Sweden, Celtica, the Huns, the Byzantines, and the Mayans, each of which have their own special perks and units, of course. And as you'd expect, a lot of these bonuses are especially tailored for the new religion and espionage systems. There's also been some changes to naval combat. There are now melee and ranged naval units, and you can actually take over a city by using ships. If you liked playing as a seafaring civ, you're probably going to be pretty happy about this. The least surprising thing about Gods and Kings is just how polished it is. The original game's cinematic intro did a spectacular job of setting the tone and getting you ready to build your civilization, and the brand new one might be even better.
From this darkness, a glimmer of light emerged. A muse from ancient times long forgotten inspired great minds and ushered in a rebirth of art and science.
There's also a new title song that is fantastic. It's probably the one you're hearing during this review, and the new music throughout is just as good. The original Civilization V did a fantastic job of taking the soul of the series and creating the most accessible installment yet. It was a great game, but for each new strategy fan that it converted, there was likely another die-hard Civ fan that was disappointed at the diplomatic model and the total lack of religion and espionage. Now that those features are back and the AI and diplomacy have seen a retooling, I think that some of those diehards will find a lot more to like. It's not a drastically different game, but it definitely has improved in areas that it needed to, and really, that's all you can ask for from an expansion pack. That being said, I've only been playing the game for a little over a week, and obviously most of the intricacies of Civilization get revealed over time. So, if you're playing the game, let me know in the comments what you think. It's around $30 and it's out today for PC in North America, with a Mac release rumored for later this year. And if you're curious about something that I didn't talk about, and believe me, there's a lot of stuff I didn't talk about, leave me a question in the comments. Be sure you're subscribed right here on Rev3 Games, and we will see you next time.
You must tread carefully, my son, for their charge now lies with you. Choose their path and guide your people through these ever-changing times.